Imagine 225 years ago, we had some ships, and they were old wooden boats, weren't they? People coming here in old wooden boats, some ships. First fleet, 225 years ago, coming up around the bottom of Australia there, past Victoria, up past New South Wales. It wasn't called that then, but obviously coming past Fidjigal people, turning into the harbour, Birra. On the left side there you have Manly, where we've met before a few times, where you've had your leadership. That's where KMA and Canigal are two of the three clans there. You've got Mossman, which is Kurrigal. Obviously you have Gadigal, where we are here. Everyone knows across the harbour there it's Camaragal, where the suburb of Camaray's taken their name from. Wongol's next door to us here, Gadigal, Benelong, that's a Wongol man. His spirit rests opposite the river there, next to the Camaragal people's Wallamadigal. And if you keep going, you eventually hit Parramatta there, but that's Barramadigal, Barra meaning eel. So that's some of the history here. And Manly obviously is called Manly because of the physique of the people there. It's true. Do some research, and that's what it's about, the physique of the people there. And over the other side, we also have Garigal National Park, named after the clan there. There's just some of the 29 clans of the Eora Nation. Terra Marigals over there too, where Terry Hills and Gordon at. So that's some of it, and Cateye and Currajong and a few others. I think that's something to say that history's been here for more than 60,000 years on this country we call Australia. And I've brought with me a message stick. Message sticks traditionally were a prompt. They would be carried, I guess, by someone who's like an ambassador or emissary. They would be given safe passage onto the land to talk to the elders and talk to the leaders. To deliver a message, that message could be about a marriage arrangement, it could be about a dispute, it could be about a corroboree. The one I've got today is, I created this with my mate Graham Toomey I met a couple of years ago. He's an artist, an Aboriginal artist. He's also a fellow member at Metropolitan Aboriginal Land Council. And he's an artist that's on Bumali, a director there. Him and I met a few years ago where I took corporate world to Redfern and Redfern to the corporate world to introduce two different lots of people. And I think that's what it's all about, sharing our stories and learning from each other and bringing worlds together is so important, because that's how you learn from each other. Sharing the stories, you usually end up, we shared some tears and we shared some laughter. And I think that's making those great connections and bringing people together with the different skill sets that they have and working together for a better country. And that's what we did. So yeah, it was quite interesting bringing those two different worlds together. People in suits who probably never met or had limited exposure to Aboriginal people, and then getting them to listen to their portfolios in a sense, but it was more than that, because their art was also about their healing. Some of them being stolen generations, that's myself. But this is about diversity. I think in this day and age, I think it's very important that we talk about diversity and appreciate diversity. It's not about being tolerable, it's about appreciation. Anyone can be tolerable. I think it's important that we do appreciate it, understand it, because understanding diversity, we understand ourselves. Everyone's similar in ways, but everyone's different in ways too. We all belong to this one group, don't we? We are tribalistic in our ways as humans, but we belong to many tribes. When you think about it, your family, your community, your organisation, Australia, New South Wales. When you think about it, we should think of perspectives of who we are in many different contexts. Ultimately, we belong to this one tribe, one mob. It's called humanity. We share this planet Earth. The undulating lines, obviously, is about the journey and path you're on, your organisation, and also your family and you. Concentric circles are places, dots represent time. And we want to make the point that diversity has been on this land for more than 60,000 years. Gender, language, age, disability. But I think we should be looking at people's abilities, not just their disabilities. We should make our society an accommodating place, whoever you are. Whoever you are born today, I think society should make the adjustments so you can fulfil your dreams and aspirations. Ethnicity, GLBTI, custom and religion. I think in recent times there's been some intolerance as an area of society towards people coming in wooden boats. To us, Aboriginal people, Captain Cook's a boat person. So it's about perspectives, isn't it? Understanding perspectives. And I think as Australians, we deserve better. I think we can be better than that. It doesn't matter whether you're black, white, yellow, red, male, female, GLBTI. It shouldn't matter who you are. Or you made of transport. We should respect people. It's important too that we do take a moment's silence to pay respects to not only Gadigal but Eora, pay respects to all Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander traditional owners, elders and custodians of the past, present and future. And it's important that you pay respects to your ancestors, because if you don't understand who you are and where your traditions come from down tens of thousands of years, when I talk to elders and when we discuss things, it's like being a tree without roots. It's important that you understand who you are. Through your family, through your community, they've been passed down. So it's important we learn where you come from around this little planet we call Earth, floating through the ever-expanding cosmos. And it's important to have a moment to reflect your journey, where you've come from and where you are now. And congratulations for 35 years. And it's about the children, isn't it? Community is very important to Aboriginal people. Children are our most valuable asset that we have. Because in the end, they'll be looking after us. So we have to look after them, give them the skills, give them the opportunities, the protection they need to find their way, their journey, their path. It's all about finding what's the best for you in here and how you can contribute to society. Informing, obviously, is education, influencing. They're like sponges, aren't they? They take up everything that they're exposed to. It's important that we guide them and help them. And being inspiring, as I said, sharing stories and helping them in the right direction. So if we have a moment of silence to pay respects and just a moment of reflection, because over time we do lose family and friends. It's just part of the cycle of life, isn't it? It's important that we remember them and just have a moment to reflect that. Pacific, the Hawkesbury, Nepean, Georges, these are the aquatic boundaries of our nation. To my Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander brothers and sisters out there, we warmly welcome you from the land, clan, community, tribe and nation you come from. And to all our brothers and sisters, we warmly welcome you. As I said, we all belong to this one tribe, don't we, of humanity. We warmly welcome you from the land, community, organisation, family you come from. And try and trace your family wherever you've come from around this little planet. I'm sure there's some amazing stories of your traditions and where you've come from. So we warmly welcome you here, wherever you've come from and your journeys come from, your ancestors come from, whether they've come across seas, oceans, plains, deserts, mountains, wherever they've come from this little planet. We welcome you here. Enjoy the next day. Share your stories today and connect and avail yourself the opportunity and speak up if you've got an opportunity. And it's all balanced between your head and your mind, isn't it? Between us as humans and the environment that we have the influence over. So have a great day and happy birthday. I've got a little bit more time. What I'm going to do is I'll pass this around so people can have a look at it. I've got a couple other message sticks that I thought was important to bring along. Because as I said, Graham and I make these, we want to educate people. We've got one here to do with education and health and employment. I'll pass them around. Obviously with health, what we want to do is we want to get people to think about health. Because health is both mental and physical, but it's also, you've got to look at a holistic approach to health. It's about cultural and spiritual when you think about it. You should look at, when you're engaging people, think about the whole concept of who that person is, their holistic approach. And it's also about the health of the community, and sharing and understanding is the theme that we think is important. Because when you think about it, Aboriginal people, we've had full employment. Everyone had their own job, everyone had their own position in a sense. And we did trade. We've been doing trade for 60,000 plus years. We gave a message stick to the Business Council Australia last year at the annual dinner, and we told them that. At first a couple of people laughed, but then they realised we weren't joking. We have been doing trade off the waterways, down George Streets and ancient Aboriginal track, think about that. Going to men's and women's business, or getting in a Nawi, a canoe, going across to the Camaragal people. Or even trading up the top. It's important to understand that we have been trading for thousands of years. And also with health, we want to make the point that the 5 things of housing, health, law, employment and education are all symbiotic with each other, aren't they? It's taken government a long time. They've realised now in Department of Health they should be looking at housing. It's just a no-brainer, isn't it? They've got to be less siloed, I think. It's important that NGOs and corporate board have an opportunity to educate them. I think it's important that we do that. And connecting, as I said, everything is connected in the scheme of things. I think Gaia is another word for it. And about balance and harmony, I think is important. So I'll pass this one around. I've also got one on education. And we make these in the context frame where we sit down, we have a yarn, and we think about it in the aspect of Aboriginal people and society and that too. Same thing with health, as the 5 themes there. But we also wanted to make the point that education gives you opportunities. It gives you knowledge, which is one of the components, one of the steps on the path to wisdom, isn't it? And we also have rights on here, because when we sat down and thought about this, that for a while there, when the Constitution was written, what we're talking about now, Aboriginal people weren't considered human at one stage. We were considered a missing link, and that's why Adam Goods was so upset about what that 13-year-old said. But we are on a journey, we're heading forward, but I think incidents like that highlight we've got a long way to go. Rights. When I think rights weren't acknowledged for a while, and rights weren't respected, and that's why we've got that on there. And education gives you the opportunity for a lifestyle that everyone should be able to have, I think. And then I've got other one up there. Pass over very soon. I'll just grab that. We've actually given these. We've made 3 for the law courts. We gave one to the Supreme Court, Banco Court, and I know the Attorney General, Greg Smith, isn't it, New South Wales. He really appreciated it and understood what we're talking about. We drew a set of scales on there. Scales of justice about respect and honour. Peers, obviously, is very important in legal terms and in professional terms. And we put in there about community. It's very important that they serve the community, is what they're about. And also we put law, L-A-W and L-O-R-E, in the concept of that for them to think. It was for them to recalibrate who they are every so often and to think about why they're there. We also put on there about, obviously, law, how it's impacted on Aboriginal people. We put on there 1788, 1901, I think you understand those years, 1967, the day we gave it to them. We also put Wick, Mabo and Terra Nullius on there. We also, after that, what happened is the new incoming Chief Justice also, I knew we had a talk with him, and I know he wanted one of those to take to the federal court, so we gifted one to him too, because it was very important. Because think about the influence these guys have over our society. And we gave one to the circuit court, which used to be the magistrates court, and they're taking that on board, and it was quite interesting. You could imagine being in the ceremonial chambers up there with all the dozens, and probably 50, 60 judges all sitting up on the bench there with their wigs on and that, and having gifted by a couple of Aboriginal people a message stick, but also having a didgeridoo playing in there. It was quite an experience, one that they, I'm sure, won't forget. But just before I go, I'll give you this one about employment, give you an understanding about that. Employment's about education, obviously, about careers. We don't want jobs. If you have a job, I guess you look at the clock, don't you? It's important to find what's good for you. A career is important. Independence, it gives you choice, it also gives you that lifestyle. So they're all connected. And that's what we want to do with these. We educate people with them and use them as gifts to I guess, get people to think and to educate people. It's a great opportunity. We gave one to the Chief of the Navy the other week, and that was because this guy, he's done something a bit different. He's created, think about this, he's created a Indigenous performer and dance group where they have serving Aboriginal naval personnel, and what they're doing is they've gone out and gone to the Torres Strait Islands and also their communities there, and also an Aboriginal community, professional dancers, and requested and got trained and permission to use these performances and dance, so they can perform all around the world in a sense, spreading our culture. And also what he set up is he set up a Indigenous advisor straight to the Chief of Navy, so he can go and talk to all the black fellas and then straight to the Chief of Navy, so no opportunity for any blockages and that. So it's setting a standard, isn't it? It's setting a different way forward. So I'll let you have a look at those for a while and enjoy the day, and as I said, happy birthday.